In our money lead, rich Democratic donors and business leaders are contributing money to Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign, but some are asking, is there a catch? Some of these donors are now openly suggesting Harris should replace the head of the Federal Trade Commission, progressive darling Lina Khan. Khan is a progressive antitrust icon. She's aggressively been trying to prevent big tech, big oil, and others from forming monopolies, she says, ones that could wipe out smaller businesses. On Monday, media mogul and Democratic donor Barry Diller said he would lobby Kamala Harris to remove Lina Khan. And there is a similar sentiment being expressed by megadonor Reid Hoffman, who donated $10 million to the Biden-Harris campaign and is planning on a major fundraising push for Kamala Harris.
I do think that Lina Khan is a person who is not helping America in her job and what she's doing. And so I would hope that Vice President Harris would replace her.
So Reid Hoffman joins us now. Reid, thanks for joining us. So you and other big money donors are giving money to Vice President Harris, suggesting also that she replace the head of the FTC, which impacts policy and the economy. What do you say to somebody who watches this and says, this isn't how American politics should work, rich people getting to buy levels of influence?
Well, I totally agree with not buying levels of influence. I separate my role as a donor and expert. So if you ask me as a donor, I say I'm giving money to Kamala Harris because I think she's the best future president for the U.S., for business, for a bunch of other things. If you ask me as an expert about what, kind of Lina Khan is doing and whether I think she is helping or hurting America relative to your anti-merger policies, which are, mostly to bring litigation versus, really solidly grounded in kind of what's going on and what helps American business thrive here and overseas, then I give an expert opinion. But I think donor and expert should be kept separate. And I've never tied the two ever in any conversation anywhere I've ever had.
Right. But I mean, that world doesn't really exist where people say, OK, now I'm talking to Reid Hoffman, the donor, and Reid Hoffman, the guy with political ideas, I'm going to put into the other room. I mean, politicians are human, and if they know that you and Barry Diller and other big donors are giving a lot of cash and want to get rid of Lina Khan from the FTC, they might listen to that more than they would listen to it from somebody in a restaurant.
Well, this is one of the things where I don't ever show up at the White House saying, I think you should do this. I mean, one of the things that President Biden has said to me every time he's met me is I never asked for anything, because all that I'm trying to do is help our leaders be the best governors. Now, if I'm asked as an expert, and, for example, shows like this, CNN, say, well, what do you think is the right expert point of view? I would say, well, here's what I think as an expert. And maybe people will listen to me more. Maybe you'll have me on television because I'm a donor. But I definitely myself distinguish between my role as a donor and my role as an expert. And I don't ever, when I'm doing fundraisers or anything else, I never say, I'm only going to do a fundraiser for you if, or, since we're doing this fundraiser right now where I'm raising money for you, I want you to hear my opinion on X. Mm-hmm. I respond to questions and expertise on them.
So you sit on the board of Microsoft, and that, of course, is a company that has multiple FTC run-ins. Right now, there's an open FTC investigation into whether Microsoft structured one of its deals with your startup, Inflection AI, in order to avoid a government review. That's according to reporting from both CNN and the Wall Street Journal. You're donating millions to Harris while publicly stating you hope she replaces the FTC head who is leading that very investigation. Doesn't that create an inherent conflict?
Well, let me talk about it as a venture capitalist, because I never talk about these things as a board member. I would say that one of the things that is the theory behind what the FTC does is to say, let's create more competition for large tech companies. But if what you're doing is making acquisitions much more difficult out of the tech industry, because these are small nation companies like Inflection has no revenue, et cetera, et cetera. It has a little bit now, but didn't before its commercial deal with Microsoft, then you're creating less incentive for investment, less incentive of creating potential competition because you're blocking M&A exits. And so, when I speak to these things, I speak more as a venture capitalist. I never speak as a Microsoft board member. Now, even in the Inflection case, it is complicating in a set of things across venture investments that if any time that you're prospectively going to be purchased by one of the large tech companies, it may take, years in review, may have, kind of arbitrarily being challenged or investigated, then that's going to quell investment. And that's bad for creating new competitors.
But there aren't there aren't like 100 Reid Hoffmans. It's not like one of you is a donor and one of you has opinions on Lina Khan and one of you is on the board of Microsoft and one of you is a venture capitalist. You're all the same guy. And I don't think that there's a politician alive that's able to compartmentalize the way you're suggesting they should.
Well, but to be clear, for example, I've never had a conversation with Kamala Harris about this, right? This is all like, I made a comment because it was like, what do you think about Kamala Harris for business? And I said, look, I think she's great, rule of law. It's one of the backgrounds, I think was one of the reasons she's better than Trump. But I do have some things where I, just as an expert, I would say that there would be things that could be improved in a Harris administration and this stuff. And that was as an example. But like, I don't talk to her about that. Now, of course, we can have these conversations and you could say, hey, she's not making this distinguished, so let's have this long conversation on CNN about it. And so she might watch our segment, and that's the way she would hear about it, is you talking to me.
Right. You and other donors went after Lina Khan pretty quickly after Biden announced that he was dropping out of the 2024 race. Do you have any concerns that this might hurt the Democratic Party unity that we've seen demonstrations of in the last few days?
Well, I hope not. It is interesting to me that of all of Biden's appointees, J.D. Vance is most enthusiastic about Lina Khan, and maybe that has some, swing voter implications. And maybe also, I've also gotten a bunch of feedback from, a bunch of people I deeply respect within the Democratic ecosystem saying, well, we're much more positive than you. And I'm like, look, I love what she's done on anti-competes with employees. I dislike what she's been doing and I think it's bad for investment on kind of antitrust and investment. So it's again, would I worry that it has a potential negative? Sure, but I try to be a truth teller when I'm asked questions about what I actually think about what's good for America.
Reid Hoffman, thanks so much for your time and for coming on the show and answering our questions. Appreciate it.